Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful friends and loyal listeners. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you so much for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. We have such a great show lined up for you today. In our influencer segment brought to us by OGPay.com, we're featuring famed jewelry designer Shugi Cassini. Now we're chatting life, wisdom, gray hair, and how her newfound influencer status, founded in part by a silver lining, no pun intended, has amassed such a huge following that her gray hair is paving the way for women everywhere. In our political segment by Caldwell Soames, we are featuring Kim Iversen. She's a highly popular radio and TV personality and host of the Kim Iversen Show, where she gives her independent analysis of today's politics, foreign policy, pandemic, elections, and oh, so much more. She has no filter, no BS approach to commentary, and she's paving the tone for independent thinkers across America. She joins me today to help me make sense of the Mar-a-Lago fiasco, what's next for Donald Trump, and her opinion on the Hunter Biden ordeal. In my digital world, brought to you by Tempest Network, we are featuring Hares Youssef. He's a philanthropist, a philosopher, a former advisor to Ukrainian President Viktor Yushchenko. And today we are talking about whether charity can actually be profitable. In our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital, welcoming back to our segment is our regular contributor, CEO of CCP Digital, Chris Pulley, and he is joined by our friend, actor, crypto enthusiast, and influencer, Mike Bornasian. Today, we are chatting about how consumer watchdog regulator Tina.org, popularly known as Truth in Advertising, has recently published a statement calling out famous Hollywood celebrities for NFT shilling. NFT shilling basically means being misleading while endorsing NFT projects on social media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with our influencer segment brought to us by OG Pay, featuring the beautiful Shugi Cassini. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our influencer segment brought to you by OGPay.com, we are featuring famed jewelry designer Shugi Cassini. Beautiful stuff. Definitely check them out at ShugiCassini.com. And yes, she is married into the famous Oleg Cassini family. Oleg Cassini, for those of you that are unfamiliar, is a fashion house founded by the famous designer Oleg Cassini right here in New York back in the 50s. Not surprising, though, Shugi paved her own path as a model and accomplished designer. She retired about 10 years ago, but it was in 2019 that she decided to stop coloring her gray hair. And come lockdown, she was ahead of the curve on what would become a massive movement. The Silver Sisters. She started an Instagram page totally dedicated to sharing her silver grow out. Now, when people talk about gray hair, most envision an old lady in a rocking chair knitting booties. Well, that stereotypical view has long been blasted out the murky dyed waters as women of all ages have become icons of sophisticated and cool. So much so that silver-haired influencers have become the envy of the younger generation. And supermodel Kristen McMenemy and British Vogue's very own Sarah Harris are the fashion world's poster girls for gray. Their every Instagram post proof that a head of silver hair isn't just acceptable, it's seriously aspirational. Now, the period post lockdown has seen the gray hair movement go mainstream. Forced to relinquish their regular salon visits due to COVID-19 restrictions, many women chose to embrace their regrowth rather than run from it. And celebrities like Helen Mirren, Jane Fonda, and Andie MacDowell are all L'Oreal ambassadors who front their skincare ranges targeting the over 50 group. Here to chat life, wisdom, and gray hair is the beautiful Shugi Cassini. Welcome to the show, my stunning silver sister.
Hi, thank you so much, Zen.
I'm so excited to chat with you. Okay, let's dive right in. So the influencer space has been a really fun side gig, to say, for you. At least, it's permeated, so to speak, every aspect of your life. And of course, as all great things do. And it's rooted really in the power of an inclusive global community of just strong pro-age women. Other than a famous designer, you're an influencer who goes by the handle @SilverShug with over 20,000 followers that you've amassed it simply by embracing your grays. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so I was ahead of the curve, like you said, in 2019, decided to stop coloring my hair. I'd wanted to for a long time, and it just, you can see how much there would be to cover. I was done with the chemicals, and I've always had a lot of silver-haired women in my family. It wasn't a big deal. So for me, it was a very natural transition. And I did kind of the blended grow out with highlights and lowlights and stuff. My hairdresser helped me transition. And, but then lockdown came. Like I said, I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't realize there was this movement already starting to happen. But then in lockdown, when no one could see their hairdresser and the box dye shelves were empty, a good friend of mine said, you need to share this. You need to share this. People need to see it, that it's okay, that it's normal. And so I started just documenting and photographing the transition. And I'm a jeweler, and everything locked down, so I couldn't do that. I didn't have that creative outlet, so I started the selfie creative outlet.
Yeah, and listen, they're not gray hairs. I say they're wisdom highlights. Recently, other elderly influencers like Grandma Tian and Washini Wanglayoli's followers are mostly female users between the ages of 18 and 35, surprisingly. Followers consider you silver-haired influencers trustworthy. What do you say to this?
I think there's an honesty to it. Yeah, and I think that there's I think because we're so confident in just what is, and there's an embracing, it's a relishing even of aging. Instead of trying to hide it, it's like, this is where it is, and it's actually really fun. It's beautiful. It's empowering, and the community is something I never anticipated, and I never thought I would enjoy being on social media, but when I'm not on there for a little bit, I miss these women. They're terrific.
I love the community that you have found, that you have nurtured, and that you are speaking to on a daily level. I follow you. But it's interesting because since gray hair has become trendy, beauty brands, I think at this point, have realized that people no longer want to see flawless, younger looking women with dyed hair. They've had to move with the times and a more, towards a more enlightened market, so to speak, by using women who have unshamedly embraced their age and all the wrinkles and grays that go with it. Not that you have a single wrinkle on your face, but you are beautiful in your own strength. What advice do you have to your younger self?
To be fearless, and to know that there's no expiration date. Things will never fall into an order that you anticipate, but if you're open to that, then it can be better than anticipated. I always saw myself as an old woman on a rocking chair, so I've never feared aging. I had a lot of friends that didn't make it past 40, a lot of cancer that friends that I've lost to cancer. And so I think the advice to my younger self is to just do it all. just do it all. Like whatever it is, you're going to regret what you didn't do and the risks that you didn't take, and the opportunities don't keep coming. So take them.
Very true. And interesting, talking about the Greys, I remember recently after Sarah Jessica Parker proudly showed off her roots in a viral Sex and the City reunion snap, and Andie MacDowell's halo of silver curls became the most admired hairstyle on the Cannes red carpet this year. Then you have Spain's Queen Letizia. She arrived in Stockholm for a state visit not long ago, looking characteristically groomed in this beautiful camel cape by Carolina Herrera. But the one thing that stood out was the natural strands of silver visible in her glossy dark hair. So now the movement is hitting the royals. Do you think that this is a fad?
No, definitely not. It's not just for me, but in this community. It's what I love about the women that are just now starting to transition, like they're like a month in or 2 weeks or whatever it is watching that trajectory that is become actually predictable, where once they embrace the silver and it becomes fun and there's all this support, it really trickles down. And there's an acceptance that happens, and there's a power that comes out through it that's kind of addicting. Like, like how much more authentic can you be? It just peels back the layers. And I think when people peep into that community, they're like, that's a really exciting place that I get to go as I age. And, there's so many young women now that are not silver yet. They're salt and pepper, just they're starting to come in, and I have friends and they're like, I hope I'm silver like you someday.
Yeah.
And they just have a few little strands, and I'm like, let it rip.
Let it rip. And there's that stigma about gray hair equating to, you're definitely aging, but I don't think it's that. You're getting wiser. Somebody actually said this to me, she's an older woman and she looks like she's 20 years younger than she really is. And she said, listen, I'm a happily married woman, and it's true that sex is better for gray heads. And now I just can't wait to go gray.
Yeah, you find your voice. You know what you want. It's not just about pleasing your partner. It's about, being in your authentic, rooted, happy self. I think in every aspect. So of course that's going to translate to the bedroom. That's where politics really begin. It's in the bedroom, right? So, and it's what's really interesting too is, there's older gentlemen, people my age, women, everyone complimenting me, but the most, the people that go out of their way the most are young men. It's really interesting, whether I'm with my husband or not, like a bank teller, like coming across all the other tellers, or people crossing the street, young men in restaurants, just going, oh my God, I love your hair. It's so cool. And I just think for the young men to see, I mean, look, like we watch George Clooney age, we watch all these men age, and they just get sexier and more interesting. And
Salt and pepper is so sexy, for sure.
So sexy. It's always been my favorite. And so now the young men get to look and watch women age and go, oh, that's hot.
Well,
that's
listen,
really great.
We are out of time. Shugi, it was such a pleasure chatting with you. So much fun. Will you come and do this again?
Anytime.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. That was our influencer segment brought to you by ogpay.com. Definitely check out Shugi Cassini. Head to her website at shugicassini.com, or you can check her out on the gram at silvershug and also at Shugi Cassini. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our PolitcGal segment, brought to us by Caldwell Soames, we're featuring Kim Iversen. She's a highly popular radio and TV personality and host of the Kim Iversen Show, where she gives her independent analysis of today's politics, foreign policy, pandemic, elections, and oh so much more. She has a no filter and no BS approach to commentary and is paving the tone for independent thinkers across America. She joins me today to help me make sense of the Mar-a-Lago fiasco. What's next for Donald Trump and her opinion on the Hunter Biden ordeal, also playing out in real time, but overshadowed by the obvious. Can't wait to hear her take. Now, as we know it, the FBI seized 11 sets of classified documents, including some that were marked as top secret from Trump's home. And the documents seized in the raid may have included records covered by attorney-client privilege and potentially executive privilege. Now, that's going to be an important facet. We know now what potential offenses the Justice Department listed on the Mar-a-Lago search warrant, which is removing or destroying government records, obstructing justice, and violating the Espionage Act. But we still don't know exactly what former President Donald Trump did. Was he looking to profit from our nuclear secrets? Or was it just the latest instance of his defiance of legal rules? Or is this a plain old witch hunt aimed to cripple Trump for 2024? Well, the difference matters. If Trump or anyone else was aiming to seriously damage our national security, there's little reason for the government to go easy on them. But what if the underlying conduct just involves negligent mishandling of the materials? Will a prosecution go forward? The warrant also revealed Trump to be under investigation for possible violations of the Espionage Act, which dates from 1917 and has been used to go after whistleblowers. Kind of extreme. Now, if charged and convicted, Trump could face up to 20 years in federal prison or even be barred from running for office. And here to chat some more and break it all down is the beautiful Kim Iversen. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's dive right in. So, Kim, it remains both unclear what exactly was being looked for and unclear what was even found. And in theory, a federal judge would have approved the raid because there was probable cause of a federal crime. But at any rate, you don't search a once and possibly future president without wanting to make a point. And you probably don't search for missing boxes. It all seems pretty likely that presidents walk out with unintended boxes. Former presidents move the same way, most of us do in life. And even various concerned liberals urged the DOJ to explain itself. What was this raid really about?
Well, I mean, it's looking increasingly political, bottom line. Of course, we all kind of reserved judgment to wait and see what they would come up with. We reserved judgment to find out what were they really truly looking for. I mean, wanting to give in good faith the benefit of the doubt to the FBI and to Merrick Garland. But rather than coming out and saying the president of the United States was, we found XYZ documents and they're extreme sensitive government secrets that he was intending. We don't know what his intentions were, but he was holding these government secrets and it's extremely grave. And now we're charging him with a crime. Rather than doing that, only a few days after the raid, if you remember, they raided on a Monday, and I believe it was a Thursday. They waited several days before Merrick Garland comes out, makes a statement. And I think all of us were holding our breath thinking, are they going to announce charges of some kind? But no, rather than announcing charges, which you would think you would do after an unprecedented raid on a U.S. president, he instead says, we're going to release the search warrant. And then hours later, a leak goes to the Washington Post. Of course, the FBI leaks everything. They have a history. So all of us were waiting for, where's the FBI leak? We knew it was coming. And then the FBI, of course, leaks to the Washington Post that it was nuclear secrets or nuclear weapons. Documents pertaining to nuclear weapons was the actual term that they used. We don't even know what that means. I mean, was it a handwritten note, a napkin between himself and, let's say, the French president? And one of them mentioned, but it was during a meeting that had to do with nuclear talks. And so therefore it's tied to that. We don't even know to what level these documents pertain to any of that.
You're 100% correct. We don't know. It's still kind of, a gray area. But to be clear, this search on the face of it represented a relatively unimportant scuffle, really, between a minor government agency, which is the National Archives, trying to enforce a point of principle, and the Trump team in Florida, likely more disorganized, in my opinion, than really just unwilling to cooperate here. But here's my question. Does Attorney General Merrick Garland know that he is investigating the man most likely likely to be the opponent of the president he serves? Does he realize that the intense political pressure campaign that he's under to indict that man has been plainly visible to now, well, everyone? Does he care? If we can't know where Garland is ultimately heading in this probe of January 6th and the documents seized from Mar-a-Lago, Kim, all indications are that he is preparing the grounds for an indictment of Donald Trump. What do you say to this?
Yeah, it's definitely, absolutely Trump is most likely to be the Republican opponent to Joe Biden in 2024. And but that fact hasn't stopped Democrats this entire, while he was president, since he's left office, he hasn't been in office in over a year and a half. And that hasn't stopped them from continuing to go after him. They are dead set on him being a criminal, and they have looked and they have overturned every single rock looking for a way to pin him as a criminal. And the things that they end up coming up with are things that others in the past, not that it's right, we shouldn't excuse it, but obstruction of justice, for example, or perjury are things that there's a long list of political people, including Bill Clinton, who've been accused of these crimes.
Oh, yeah. Government officials, to your point, have been accused in the past of mishandling classified information, including David Petraeus, who's a CIA director during the Obama administration, Samuel Sandy Berger, a national security advisor during the Clinton administration, and both eventually pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges for unlawfully removing secret documents.
Right.
And in 2016, we watched Hillary Clinton's email scandal unfold, and she got away with all of that. But it feels like Trump is in much, much more trouble. And the question is, why?
Yeah. And, what was interesting, the parallels between the emails and these boxes that apparently were demanded by the National Archives. And again, this is, we don't really know what was in it. It sounds like mementos. It sounds like Trump was keeping mementos. Maybe he was thinking he was going to put it in. When is he getting his presidential library? I don't know. Where is it going to be? Was he keeping it for those purposes? Did he think he had some sort of claim or right to them? He certainly had the claim or the right to classify or declassify. That is what the president does. That's the sole, that classification and declassification is under the realm of the president. Other people do it, but they do it with the power given to them by the US president. So, the whole thing, it does sound like the National Archives wanted some things back. Trump didn't want to give them those things back. They were probably personal mementos of his. He didn't want to give them up. They scuffled about that, and they ultimately sent in, the FBI to go and retrieve these boxes. This wasn't the FBI or the CIA or the Department of Defense asking for these documents back. It sounds like it was the archives asking.
Right.
Archives.
Archives.
That's not.
and when you talk about executive privilege, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, just to be fair, because some would argue that anything that falls under executive privilege doesn't belong to Trump, and it's still government property and belongs in the archives. Hard to think of an example where really executive privilege would apply to a document that was not also covered under the Presidential Records Act, which requires all of Trump's records factually
Right.
from the White House to be preserved, which means all such documents belong to the National Archives and can't legally be held by Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So on the flip side, sure, that's like a big technicality. But to your point, presidents, when leaving the White House, are just like everybody else. They take boxes, they take things. There's probably, many, many boxes that are left unlabeled, and there's a lot of disorganization. So I think this was a big stretch, a big reach. And the only thing that this does, Kim, is really kind of put Donald Trump, if you think this fiasco has drained the oxygen from those hoping to nudge the party on from Trump and has led the Republicans to rally around him again. And the Republicans who aren't hardcore supporters have also backed him in the past, but criminal charges arising from this are likely to confirm Trump's claims about the deep state and a witch hunt and all of the stuff that he's been out there saying is happening to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are plenty of people out there. I'm seeing the trend on social media, people saying, I hate Trump. I never supported the guy, but I will think about voting him for him in 2024. And we're seeing that sentiment over and over and over again. They're saying if the government hates him this much, if they're all willing to go after him this much, then there must be something he presents to them that is dangerous as an individual. And that is maybe breaking up the deep state, draining the swamp like he said he would do. I don't know, maybe next time if he got in office, he actually would do it. And that's the bet a lot of Americans are now willing to take, Americans that otherwise would not have voted for him in 2024.
Yeah, it's true, and it's interesting, but he has to announce really a campaign for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024 in the next couple of weeks, according to a senior source close to Trump. Because if Trump wants to head off being indicted under the Espionage Act after the FBI search, the golden question is he's going to have to announce this sooner versus later, because that's going to play into the bigger picture. But I have 3 minutes left, and I want to get your take on the Hunter Biden fiasco that's also unfolding, but it's clearly being overshadowed here. We know that Hunter Biden has been under federal investigation since 2018. And according to a source familiar with the matter, the investigation is being conducted by Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss. He's a prosecutor appointed by the former president Donald Trump. Okay. So Justice Departments are looking into whether to charge Hunter Biden with various tax violations, but more seriously, Kim, possible foreign lobbying violations. And the federal investigation into Hunter Biden was predicated in part by suspicious activity reports regarding suspicious foreign transactions. But when asked about his son's dealings, President Joe Biden claims he remains unaware and uninvolved. Is President Joe Biden lying? What's your take on this?
Yes, absolutely lying. Hunter Biden could not have made those connections without the help of his father. Bottom line, I don't have connections like that. Do you? I mean, how can I go and suddenly make some sort of multi-million-dollar deal with companies in Ukraine or China? Average people do not have connections like that. Hunter Biden, the only way somebody with, especially Hunter Biden's past, for him to be able to make these sorts of connections to give him multi-million-dollar paychecks, that was the help of his father. Either his father facilitated those deals or met, did the introductions. Somewhere along the line, his father was absolutely involved in the makings of those deals. But more likely and more importantly, and what they should be looking for is, did Joe Biden do more than just make an introduction? Did he actually help facilitate the deals by making some sort of silent guarantees or, off the books, off the record guarantees that allowed his son to make these sorts of deals, sitting on boards of companies that he had no business being on? So absolutely, his father is involved somehow. They do need to be making some sort of, they need to be investigating that. This does not stop with just Hunter Biden is the criminal son. I'm sorry, that would be the case if it were different types of crimes. His drug use, that's one thing. But his dealings with foreign countries and companies within those countries, that is connected to his dad somehow. And I don't think any of us are dumb enough to think, oh no, Hunter somehow got all those connections on his own.
Oh no, definitely. I don't think he's clever enough to do that on his own. Sorry, Hunter, but your history speaks for itself. But yes, you're right. I do echo your sentiment that President Joe Biden is definitely covering something up, and he should be investigated for that. We are out of time, but I wanted to thank you for coming on. You are incredible. I love hearing from you, and I'll definitely have you back on again. Thank you for sharing your opinion with us. And more importantly, thank you for paving the way for independent thinkers. Guys, you definitely have to check out Kim Iversen. You have KimIversonShow.com. She's everywhere. Make sure that at the end of the day, you are thinking for yourself. Make no mistake, mishandling classified documents, particularly ones with allegedly sensitive details, shouldn't be at all acceptable. No president gets to just flinch confidential national security files after he loses. But these are not ordinary times. It is not only the Justice Department, but also the president who needs to move with extraordinary care and precise judgment if American democracy is to thrive once again. And right now, this is a major fiasco. Definitely not proud to be American, but hoping it all gets turned around after the 2024 elections. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Tempus, the next generation of the engagement economy, allowing people to make money on their data and earn cryptocurrency for the time they spend on things they already currently love to do. With Tempus, brands will have the ability to pay you directly for interacting with apps, watching videos, playing games, and more. Tempus, the time is now. Engage and earn.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to My Digital World segment brought to you by Tempest Network. And today we're missing our regular contributor, CEO of Tempest Network, Shahal Khan, but we do have the pleasure of chatting with his good friend, Hares Youssef, a philanthropist, a philosopher, and former advisor to Ukrainian President Viktor Yushchenko. Now, in a world where information warfare has become the new reality, transparency in social media and money transactions can indeed be an antidote to manipulation and lies. And today, we're talking about whether charity can actually be profitable. But how? Well, Youssef and his team are launching a new digital currency that aims to make charity transparent and accessible to all. Gaia Coin is a personal currency free from the interests of states and nations. Each person not only binds the coin to their name, but must choose which charitable organizations will receive funds from the purchase. Now, Gaia Coin is backed by gold and based on a communication platform of the same name, which uses its algorithm to analyze users' profiles and actions. The main principle of this social network is share more to get more. Therefore, the more acts of charity one performs, the higher one's coin will be valued. The foundation was established for the purpose of creating global projects to address the challenges of the modern-day digital world, all while preserving data sovereignty for its original producer, which is you and me, disrupting technocracy, protecting the environment while enabling the creator economy, and giving power back to the people. Welcome to the show, my friend. You are quite the philanthropist.
Hi, hello.
Youssef, nice to meet you.
Thank you, me too. Nice.
Okay. All too familiar to you, but at a moment when Ukraine is experiencing some of the most extreme circumstances in recent history, you, my friend, a Syrian-born Ukrainian, are looking for a solution not only to the problems faced by your fellow countrymen and to solve those, but also to the broader socioeconomic issues that are threatening the quality of life of all humankind. And transparency is needed globally in finance amid all central bank issues and geopolitics. How will Gaia address this?
I think we all know that the main enemy of ecology is a global economy. So if you see what's going on around, we understand that the threat of humanity, it's a human himself. And there's something missing here. I call it the universal measurement of value. So first of all, I think we all agree that our planet is common among all of us. But is it value? Is it really, we can value it as something really common? I think no, because economy doesn't look at the planet as a life system. They are looking at the planet as origin of resources and profit. I think to give a name to our planet, the name Gaia was called by Greek mythology, one of the first gods. They were considering the planet as a life body, a life organism. And Gaia was a goddess. Today, our planet, we call it planet Earth. And I believe that we need to give to the planet a name, like we are giving it to the baby, we are giving to any.
Absolutely. And that was actually going to be one of my other questions in terms of, you know, your project, you have a primary goal at Gaia, and I was going to get into that in just a little bit, but I wanted you to talk to me more about the notion that we are all part of a shared living ecosystem that you said, and it's your belief, and I can't argue, that ecology has come face to face with an economy that, like you mentioned, that is indifferent to the planet's needs, and human exploitation weakens the prospects for future generations. And it's time to take a step back from ego to eco. And I know that, and I know you say that. That's your foundation.
We call it ecoism, yes. Ecoism
Right.
exists in each of us. And this is the dilemma. Once we give to our planet a name, I think we will change our attitude, our attention with this.
You're right. It's time to give a name to our planet and remember that it does have a soul. And by giving the planet a name, we change our attitude towards the planet because it is the bearer of the future. And that's the notion I want to hear more about.
So once we can create a coin or maybe a monetary system with the coin, we call it Gaia, and it will have the main issue that ecological coin. And I think ecology is not only our relationship or attention to the environment. Ecology is also the value of relationship between human and human. It's also ecological. So the first level of ecology, I think, is the relationship between people who is creating the society.
Interesting. Let me I will have a question for that. So the Gaia project, from what I'm understanding, is multifaceted with the final goal of creating a planetary digital platform. And really fundamentally, what you're saying is an ecological digital government, if I'm understanding this.
Absolutely, yes.
But today, your top priority is to create the necessary conditions for the planet to receive the status of an ecological law entity endowed with exclusive attributes and functions. Why is this so important?
You know, you see every year we have the summit of G20.
Yes.
They are collecting themselves, coming, making photo and go. They don't do anything. So just like spending money to create one photo every year. So this is the most powerful, most strong mechanism today to change the reality, to do things. G20 is very powerful organism. I think Gaia, if we will create an entity which is the speakers on behalf of our planet, and this entity will have among the United Nations, and like any government, a share in United Nations, and the planet will become a speaker. So G20.
So you need this in order for Gaia to become a full-fledged participant in the G20 summits.
Absolutely, yes. The speakers on behalf of Gaia, the ambassadors of Gaia, or maybe we call it the angels of Gaia, they will elect someone to speak on behalf of the planet and to stay in front, not with the G20. So to ask them what you did this year for the planet, what you did for Gaia.
Yes.
So, and once we will have a transparent coin, transparent currency, reflecting the values, ecological values and social value, this currency can be enough fund and capital to increase the volume of projects, to do a lot of things around the globe to help humanity, to help the planet in solving the ecological and social problems.
Fascinating. So your project's primary goal is to make charity a common part of human culture and to create a planetary currency free from the interests of any particular country and nation. And you and your team are basically ready to launch the Gaia coin, claiming that this is the first currency that promotes absolute transparency. What is the vision of this alternative Gaia economy?
Look, first of all, once we will understand the real difference between money and currency, and like if we say that we have a value, content, and we have a container. So currency is a container. It's not a content. So the content should be in the currency, the social value. And each of us, any person, any human, he has to work for his social value. The social value, the common social value is a social value capital. So the social capital need to be a new motivation for each of us, for corporation, for rich people, for anyone to increase his social value, to work for his social value. I'm always saying that humanity is a book, and human, each one of us is a page in this book. So if we look at this book, we don't have so much pages because people don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in their name. They don't believe in their social value. They don't believe that they can or they must leave something after death, their names. So that's
Yes.
why we are creating a personal purpose coin, holding your name.
Got it.
And your name is your coin. You are a coin. We are a coins. So
And this is actually interesting because if you look at decentralization as a concept, that historically, decentralization historically describes local governance structures where the responsibilities of planning and decision making are not made by a central authority, but rather distributed throughout its memberships. And this feels very much like that.
Absolutely. So if you look at the common capital, so government can become a power, can get the power when they have the monopoly to print money. But money generated by people, when people will stop to do anything, no money will be anywhere.
Exactly.
So we as people generate money, but the emittent of the money or the printing machine is belong to the government. And they are giving this money back to the society through some system where they keep people in slavery of your salary, slavery of making money, slavery of fulfilling your own needs. So we are slaves of money. We are not free human.
Yeah.
And once we will have the system where each one of us can generate and imitate his own currency, so we are all working and motivated to create this, what we call it, the common social, we call it the ultra capitalism, like
ultra capitalism. So
yes.
let's talk about radical transparency because this is a good topic. So in terms of radical transparency, you claim that the worldwide banking information must be fully available for public access, including transaction archives, accounts, deposits, and reserves. Basically, information about all monetary and non-monetary resources and capital should become open to anyone, alluding to the fact that data is no longer a commodity and is transformed into open collective capital by becoming transparent. What is the future of Gaia and how will it help a positive world economy to be creative?
I believe if we will announce Gaia coin, and Gaia coin will be linked with the person himself, the community, any society, any community, they will understand that they have the common interest, which is ecological interest and social value interest, will be creating kind of mechanism of exchanging value by thanking. I mean, if I get a lot of thanks, it's similar to likes, yes? So more thanks I get, more rich I become, but we need to create a system how to compensate your thank you when you are doing good for others, what you get in front. So we have the system of, I call it monetization and capitalization. So like you see there that to capitalize my social value, I need to give more.
Yes.
The more I give, higher I become, and I have access to the capital. So I will think about the ecosystem, because much more I do for the ecosystem, much higher I become in my rating of social value. So I'm creating my wealth by giving, not by collecting and keeping and hiding. So
I love it. So this is really power to the people, rise of the creator economy, and you're really, really helping a positive world economy to be created. We are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insight and your vision. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I would love to hear where Gaia is going to be in the next 5 years. So you're welcome back on the show anytime you'd like.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dani.
Thank you. Guys, you definitely have to check out the Gaia Foundation. And the Gaia Foundation researches humanity's ability to develop harmoniously and create an information infrastructure for the economy and communications of the future. You definitely have to check them out. Head to Gaia.Foundation. And that was Hares Youssef. That was My Digital World, brought to us by Tempest Network. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I am your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital. And today we are featuring our regular contributor, CEO of CCP Digital, Chris Pulley. He is joined by actor, crypto enthusiast, and influencer Mike Bornasian. Today we're chatting about how consumer watchdog and regulator Tina.org, popularly known as Truth in Advertising, has recently published a statement calling out famous Hollywood celebrities for NFT shilling. Now, this basically means being misleading while endorsing NFT projects on social media. The published blog allegedly accuses several celebrities, including Justin Bieber and Reese Witherspoon, of actively endorsing NFT projects on their social media without disclosing their connection with the endorsed NFT projects. The statement further added how the watchdog has investigated celebrities who had earlier promoted NFTs on social media and found that the area is, quote, rife in deception, in a sense that these celebrities have not revealed their personal connection with the projects, which might be misleading to the masses. And among the star-studded list are sports stars Floyd Mayweather and Tom Brady, music icons Eminem and Snoop Dogg, and several actresses, including Gwyneth Paltrow, all of whom have been sent letters urging them to immediately disclose any material connections they have to NFT companies or brands that they have promoted, stating the promoter often fails to disclose material connection to the endorsed NFT company. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, NFTs are digital certificates stored on the blockchain, proving ownership of a digital or physical asset. Fairly simple. Here to chat some more are Chris and Mike. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Chris, I'm going to dive right in. I'll start with you. While no real legal penalty has been attached, Tina.org noted that it sent these letters to the celebrities involved, and they outlined their grievances and advised them of the potentially harmful effect shilling NFTs can have, not only on the public, but on the marketplace. And one of the group's primary concerns outlined in the letters is that the possible financial risks associated with investing in such speculative digital assets are not being disclosed. What do you say to this?
I think it's fantastic, really. I mean, it's just about, a full disclosure environment makes everybody feel a lot more comfortable and safe. I don't know that this is new, by the way. I mean, just because now we have NFT to attach and it's a hot topic. But I think this is a topic of celebrity endorsements that are, not disclosed as a sponsorship or something of that nature. I mean, in digital advertising, this is a world where disclosure and full transparency is super important, even in our media, such as yourself. You would never promote a product and get paid for it without disclosing it's a sponsor or you have some paid affiliation. It just seems common sense, but it obviously Tina's doing a good job over there at Tina.org to support this, where the audience at least knows, right? It's almost not fair to think, hey, they're really into this and not realize they were just paid to say something.
Right. Yes, exactly. I couldn't agree more. In order for this industry to really thrive, we need more transparency and more regulation. Mike, this brings a great question up for you. Celebrities at this point right now could be violating the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC rules regarding the use of endorsements and testimonials in advertising. You are an influencer, so you're aware of this stuff. But the advocacy group links the FTC website, which outlines that influencers must disclose any material connections to brands they are endorsing and make the disclosures clear, unambiguous, conspicuous, and within the endorsement. So far, there hasn't been a case of any publicized cases of celebrities facing any legal penalties for shilling NFTs or crypto, but soon there might be. What is your take on this, and should actors be jumping into this?
I honestly think that it's such a tricky situation because it's the first of its kind. To build on what Chris said, it's very much so just like consumer marketing in the sense of like, when we see on even Instagram, I'll use for example, as we see actors, athletes, celebrities post different things, oftentimes we see that there must be a paid partnership label or sponsored or ad or something to indicate that the individual is working with the brand in some kind of like cohesive affiliation. Now, the more that it's tricky because obviously a lot of these utilities, a lot of the celebrities that have these NFTs, they do offer utility behind them. So sometimes they will promote things that fans do want to pay for in terms of an experience. So sometimes that can actually have value, but where it gets tricky is that, the more that someone like a Justin Bieber with a massive following posts something, then obviously you have fans that are going to purchase, that are going to drive the coin up. So it's obviously great. I believe that Tina steps in and shows ways to regulate this. I do understand why celebrities can kind of maybe get a bad look, and it's not necessarily their fault that they have a following and that they do believe in something. But at the same time, when it's done with ill intention and it's meant to essentially almost start up a rug pull, that right there can be very, very tricky.
Yeah, and you're right. And right now there's a lot of lawsuits left and right. There's a lot of ongoing class action suits, most famously against Elon Musk for his endorsement of Dogecoin, and even Mark Cuban for promoting Voyager crypto products. So it's getting rough out there. But the SEC says don't listen to celebrities. Chris, in 2017, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission warned investors about celebrity-backed initial coin offerings in a post on their website. And the post read, investors should note that celebrity endorsements may appear unbiased, but instead may be part of a paid promotion. All right, that was what they placed out there in a big banner. How can we assess the authentic, profitable, and real projects, Chris, from the fake ones?
Well, I think that the route that Tina.org is taking is part of that, and just being a full disclosure. I think that whoever's managing the celebrity's account, or if they're doing it themselves, they just need to be honest about their position. And it seems awfully simple. And I think it might be just even overlooked how simple it is just to be transparent. It may even strengthen the position of the promotion in a lot of cases. So to me, it just doesn't make sense to try to to hide or to shelter the fact that somebody's getting compensated.
Right.
It just seems normal that a celebrity would have some compensation for a promotion. And
well, what about from the flip side, as a consumer, if I want to invest or if I want to look at an NFT project and it's celebrity backed, what are some of the steps that I can take research wise to really mitigate my chances of getting scammed or falling into a scheme or anything?
First of all, make sure you want the NFT. I mean, just for face value. It's look at it as a collectible or the utility of an experience that comes with a collectible. And just be buying it for face value and not about how much you can turn around and sell it for tomorrow. That's probably the first recommendation, is to really follow your own personal interest and desires, and then do the homework. Get to the project's website and who are the founders, and are they disclosing who they are? Do they have a LinkedIn profile or not, or are they completely hidden behind the scenes? For example, in the celebrity realm, we talked about it before, that Sylvester Stallone is running his own NFT project on his own personal name brand, and that he's taking this very seriously. And I don't even think the sale has even happened yet, because they were concerned about getting everything right and making sure that the offer to the audience was going to be fulfilled, and also have a successful campaign at the same time. But that's access to Sly and
really credible, a really credible camp behind that. Our good friend Joel Comm over there from the Bad Crypto podcast and the Nifty Show, and we have Travis Wright. Although we have a huge group of big enthusiasts, investors, and really keynote speakers that understand the space. So of course, the Sly Guy Project is one of the more credible ones. But I want to jump back into the conversation here, because according to the SEC, celebrities and even influencers using social media to encourage their followers to purchase stocks or other investments could be unlawful if they don't disclose the nature, the source, and even the amount of any compensation paid directly or indirectly. So big red flag out there to my Hollywood peeps. Mike, Winning Time, congratulations, the rise of the Lakers dynasty. So this is a television series currently airing on HBO detailing the beginning of how that particular Lakers dynasty came to be. You play Brad Holland in the 10-episode series. Now you are, I have to say this, you're 6'5" and 200 pounds. You also have a huge amount of followers on social media, so you are an influencer yourself. You flew to Miami recently to promote your NFT line. We have about 2 minutes. Talk to me about this and give us some insight on how you got involved.
No, thank you so much. It was really cool. So, prior to Winning Time, I had actually been on the TLC reality show, I Love a Mama's Boy. That ended up being a big hit with my mom and my ex-girlfriend. And essentially, that ended up driving up my following in the United States, and then also the international following. I had a big fan base from Taiwan. And that was basically around the time that the Bitcoin conference had taken place. And I had a company reach out to me and ask if, I was interested in the NFT space, if I was familiar with it. And I have friends who, are athletes and other actors who have also launched their own line. So I thought it could be a cool opportunity to really get a hands-on experience in the NFT space. And the more I did that, I got to go down to Miami. I got to meet a lot of great people at the Bitcoin conference and really understand so much more about not only the face value of the NFTs that Chris spoke to, but also the utility behind it, what that means, the ability for me to not only have something that's a digital asset, pertaining to my own career, but also that gives back to the fans. I get a ton of DMs of people who would ask for different things like modeling advice or, what's the best way to break into Hollywood or what, like just all these different types of fan experiences. And, I thought that if I could, attribute something that would be cool for my fans to hang on to, but also a way that I can engage and interact with them, that it would be a win-win. And it's truly proven to be beneficial. And I've learned so much about the space in the time being. So it's been great.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for coming on and chatting. It was a pleasure really having you on the show and kind of getting the chance to get to know you. And Chris, if there's anything you want to add, feel free. But I want to thank you again for always being the expert at hand and giving us the sound advice that we need to enter the space.
No, thanks for having me back, Sen. And Michael, it's great to meet you.
Likewise. Right. Thank you both.
Yeah. Absolutely, guys. You have to check out Mike Bournazian. He's on the gram at mbourn, BOORN. Check out Chris Pulley at CCP Digital. And remember, my advice is step 1, buy Ethereum through a regulated broker or exchange. Step 2, set up a MetaMask wallet and transfer your Ether into the wallet. Step 3, connect to an NFT marketplace. You guys know the big ones. Crypto.com is one of them. Not my specific recommendation, but it's a familiar place. Step 4, buy your NFT using Ether from your MetaMask wallet. Make sure you're doing it right and make sure you're doing your research. That was our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Vice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Vice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Vice Cucina, 212-757-2600 or online at vicecucina.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Hi There, a creative community exploring the culture, craft, and science of cannabis. Hi There believes that we have a collective responsibility towards eradicating the stigma, misinformation, and inequities surrounding this plant so we can unlock its true potential for all. To become involved and find out what all the excitement is about, download the Hi There app from the App Store and Google Play. Hi There, HIGHTHERE.
That's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that make this show happen. And remember, happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.